Hey, welcome to the second course video for the song One Way from 21 Pilots and their album Breach. I'm musically malnourished, and you're on my journey to go deep and wide in discovering new music and artists. In these videos, we do a deep dive into the lyrics and meaning behind the music. This is a pretty interesting one, so remember, we don't always get it right, but we always learn something. So let's get in, see what's going on with this song. All right. I do like this about section. And then there's a comment that we're going to look at and a few other things. It says One Way captures the struggle between ambition and limitation. Tyler frames his desire to fly against warnings of a system coming in, a metaphor for outside pressures or inner doubts shutting down freedom. The verses reflect on lost dreams and fading inspiration, while the bridge highlights feelings of alienation from his surroundings. Josh's voicemail outro breaks the fourth wall, giving the track a raw, behind-the-scenes touch. At its core, the song wrestles with the tension between wanting escape and being pulled back down by reality. And I think it's important to know going into this, I think everybody has these seasons, because obviously you look at what 21 Pilots does and you're just like, limitless inspiration, limitless passion. But that doesn't, we're seeing years of work ultimately put into an album that they release. And then obviously they have their touring and their shows and things, but you know as well as I do, you can move forward on a path and yet that inner flame feel like it's out. And I think Tyler and his team have enough talent to produce wonderful things. But maybe there's a part inside that's like, yeah, but this isn't what I ultimately wanted it to be, or I wish I could do more, or I want to do something else, or I want to take a break for a while. But if I take a break, then the fans are disappointed. And then will I be able to keep the momentum? So all those things just got to swirl around in your heart and in your mind. And some days you show up to work, your work, his work, feeling inspired, feeling refreshed and renewed. And then there are some seasons that you just kind of chug along doing what's necessary, not necessarily meaning you do a bad job at it, but you do what's necessary, looking for that, man, is there something internal that I need? Do I need to switch and pivot to something else? And so obviously those are feelings that they can experience as well. I like this comment that was down here. I don't often venture into the comments, but this one was enlightening to me. It says, I think this track is a companion to Lane Boy, where Tyler fights against the idea of people telling him to stay in his lane, but he'll go wherever he wants to. But now he's realizing maybe the commercialization and profit motive of their label or other corporate involvements has really pushed them down a one way. Are they going to go independent soon? Who knows? And then, I had heard some rumblings, and I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on this. And there is some information in this little blurb here, but I had seen somebody that said that really they feel like, not that it's not great work, that maybe Breach and the release of Breach was in large part just to fulfill a contract that they had with Fueled by Ramen, and that Tyler has created his own label. And so maybe this song is giving some insight into the tension that's going on there. We'll see. But this is interesting. And then maybe we'll click into this other article. It says, no, 21 Pilots has not officially announced they are leaving Fueled by Ramen, but there's significant fan speculation and discussion due to frontman Tyler Joseph starting his own label, Arrow. Or Arrow. That's the name of is that the name of one of his kids? Here. Okay, no, sorry. So we might look into this a little bit more. Oh my gosh, why don't we just do it right now? Arrow's the name of the independent record label launched by Tyler and their manager, Chris. Confirmed an artist venture with Atlantic Records through Arrow itself remains independent to give artists control. Something sometimes associated with the band's lore. Interesting. Let me know if you have any insight on that. The band fulfilling contract obligations, perceived lack of promotion from Fueled by Ramen for recent albums like Breach, suggesting a possible split or renegotiation after their current commitments end. While they're still under Fueled by Ramen, fans notice FBR's minimal promotion compared to the band's independent efforts, leading many to believe a move is likely for more creative control. It's theorized they're fulfilling the minimum requirements of their current FBR contract and may not renew. Let's see what this says. So this is 6 months ago. It's been confirmed as of this year, two of their biggest artists, Grandson and All Time Low, have departed FBR, created their own independent labels. Both artists have publicly expressed frustration over FBR as being the main reason why they left. At first, when Tyler created Arrow, I decided to block out the noise that suggested that 21 Pilots would eventually leave FBR after this record. I'm now almost certain Breach is the last album that will be released under FBR. While it's true that FBR is also distributed by Atlantic, the same company that is distributing Arrow, it's also true that under this deal, Tyler will have more creative control over his work if this is the case. Going to be a huge hit to FBR, but clearly the artists on the label aren't happy. Interesting. Okay. So I don't want to hold that context too much going into this, but the themes that are in this song really seem to fly. Pun intended, or should I say no pun intended. Get it? That's an inside joke. All right. I wanted to fly, but they say a system's coming in. The chances are high that this is a one-way. So here's what this annotation says. A weather system or depression in atmospheric sense is unstable, leading to rain and wind, including cyclones, makes flying uncomfortable and, in extreme cases, even dangerous. Airplanes may be grounded and airports closed down. Flight is a metaphor for escape and freedom. The singer's feeling stuck in his present situation with no way out. I think what I found interesting about this was obviously I feel like it's not too hard to interpret the wanting to fly, wanting to feel this freedom, wanting to soar. But they say a system's coming in. So at first I was thinking, well, that means they're grounded, like they can't fly. And you can obviously take this in a creative sense or just in a life sense. Like I want to fly in life, but a system comes in that causes all this turmoil and difficulty. And so the aspirations that you have, you're kind of grounded from those. But the idea of a one way in this song makes it appear that he's still moving, he's still traveling. But maybe the idea of one way is still not getting to go ultimately where you want to go. Help me out with that. I would have almost jived more with the idea of being grounded, because then it feels like you don't get to fly at all. But I don't know. Because if you think about flight, you have return trips, right? But if you're flying and a system's coming in, then maybe you're only going to one specific destination and not getting to fully go where you want to go. I don't know. Clear as mud. I think the idea, though, the big idea seems to be pretty easy to grasp. Am I dreaming? If it's so, can I take back who I was before? If it's no, then all my dreams have not been interesting in a while. This has not been interesting in a while. So it does seem to speak to some sort of feeling of complacency, a lack of excitement or inspiration, or even in the sense like you can feel all that in your heart, like but if you could bring those things into reality, then you feel like I would be flying. But if you feel kind of stifled in a way, grounded, then, or it's just there's so much turmoil surrounding it, you want to just focus on the creative work, but there's so much going on around that like it draws away from that. It distracts. It's almost like the drowning in logistics line. And this idea of taking back who I was before, maybe before all of the storm systems, before things got too complicated. And obviously, if you take it in with a record label, it's like as they got bigger and bigger and bigger and the logistics just keep increasing and all of that, it's kind of like, I want to get back to the heart of what I do, which is interesting because in the trailer for More Than We Ever Imagined, I think is the name of the film coming out, that I do have tickets to it. My whole family's going. He says in there, it's moments like this, being out here playing my piano, surrounded by these people, that are the closest thing I can get to remembering why I did this in the first place. So, okay. Repeating chorus. Me and my scene just ain't gelling. Someone next to me keeps yelling. Why am I still walking? Something must be wrong here. I just don't belong here. So when I first saw this, me and my scene just ain't gelling, my mind immediately went to like the fans and the clique, but that doesn't make much sense, I don't think. I feel like the fans are just as passionate, just as invested as ever. So maybe the scene is those that he's surrounded by, could be the record label, Fueled by Ramen. Someone next to me keeps yelling, why am I still walking? I'm trying to think, or is he saying that someone next to me is yelling these words, why am I still walking? Or is he saying someone next to me keeps yelling, and then his question to himself, why am I still walking? So it could be, somebody is yelling, why are you still, like, why aren't you flying? And him recognizing something must be wrong here. I just don't belong here. Like I belong flying. But whether it's that or it's just someone who's yelling, it can be indicative of, again, this like, because when you get bigger people involved and it becomes more corporate, there is this constant exchange. And then you also have to deal with people that really don't care about you. And so there could be this yelling, this ruckus, this noise that's distracting. And it's like, what the heck are we even doing here, man? Like, let's make cool music and let's go put on a wonderful show for those that love it. But it's gotten so complicated. So either way, it is still just this question of like feeling like I don't belong here. Like, why am I walking? I should be flying. I want to be flying, because it immediately flows into the chorus. I wanted to fly. And then just the repeated. And then obviously you get into the outro. Hey, it's Josh, call me back. I'm not opposed to one way going into days lie dormant. It does feel like quite a vibe change. And so that was great. Really interesting song. Curious to know your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments. And we're having a good time. So thanks for being with me for this one. Hope to see you in the next one, because we're eating good.